Hey guys, Krusop here, ready to bring you another One Piece theory discussion video. So what I'm going to talk about today is Conqueror's Haki, because personally I feel that it's one of the coolest powers that we get to see in One Piece, especially just the fact that you have such a strong presence around you that people with weaker willpower will pass out when you walk onto somebody's ship, like Shanks. That was one of my favorite scenes, actually, just seeing Shanks just walk on the Whitebeard ship, and then Marco's like, weaker crew members get back, and then when they didn't, they passed out. I thought that was awesome. But anyway, what I'm not going to talk about is actually the application of Conqueror's Haki to doing more than knocking out fodder, even though that is a pretty interesting topic. Instead, what I want to talk about is the awakening of Conqueror's Haki, because I'm really excited to see how you unlock these powers, and thinking about that, because I believe it will play a crucial role later in the story. People who we saw using Conqueror's Haki for the very first time in their lives were Luffy, Ace, and Doflamingo. So to give you the background information, Luffy was using Conqueror's Haki first when he's fighting the Gorgon sisters on Amazon Lily. Basically, they're threatening to break Marjorie, who's now encased in stone, and this will obviously kill her. And he yells, like, "Stop it!" And then the Snake Sisters stop it, and then there's a bunch of people in the audience who pass out. It's pretty impressive, and Bowa Hancock's like, I can't believe that he has the Supreme Conqueror's Haki. So then we also see Ace in a flashback, and Ace is fighting the Blue Jam Pirates. This is currently when there's a fire already started at Gray Terminal, and the Blue Jam Pirates still want Ace and Luffy to expose where their hidden treasure is. And then Ace is like, I already told you where the treasure is. Like, you're crazy if you expect us to actually go with you, because we're gonna die in this fire. Like, if you want that treasure, you gotta go get it yourself. But they threaten Ace and Luffy, and one of the Blue Jam pirate crew members actually stabs Luffy or cuts Luffy's face in some way, shape, or form. And then that's when Ace unlocks Conqueror's Haki, and everybody except for Blue Jam himself and Luffy passes out onto the ground. Finally, there's Doflamingo. You get this scene where basically Doflamingo was a former celestial dragon, and his father wanted to descend to walk among the common people. So he basically reveals that Doflamingo and his whole family are former celestial dragons, but they just want to live a normal life. And then these peasants decide to take out their revenge on all the celestial dragons who have treated them like shit over the years on Doflamingo's family. So they're forced to the outskirts of town, and they have to eat garbage and stuff. And then finally, after Doflamingo's mom dies, they hang him, his brother, and his father up and shoot arrows at him. And at this point, that's when Doflamingo first uses Conqueror's Haki and knocks out a bunch of these people. So basically, I want to talk about the circumstances of the Conqueror's Haki user when they unlock it for the first time. It seems like they're really backed into a corner in some kind of a desperate, unescapable situation. However, there seems to be maybe one more condition for Conqueror's Haki, and that condition is childhood trauma. So, except for Luffy, all the Conqueror's Haki users that we know, who we've actually seen their backstory, have some kind of traumatic childhood event going on in their past. So let me just give you some examples. So Ace is constantly asking other pirates, if Roger had a son, what would they say? And they're always saying, you know, Roger was scum, so if he had a son, that son would deserve to die, and then Ace would beat them up after this. And the thing is that Ace wasn't really sure if it was a good thing, whether he was born or not, throughout the entire series, right up until the final moment when he's about to get executed. So that was pretty powerful about his story, you know, just finding out that he wants to live at the end of his life. It's really quite sad, actually. The other one is Bowa Hancock. She was sold into the slave trade as a young girl, so along with her sisters. Obviously, this was quite traumatic. And there's Doflamingo, who I already talked about, was tortured by the angry peasants and had to starve, especially coming from the Celestial Dragons, where he was essentially pampered his entire life. Obviously, this is a drastic change that's going to, you know, be extremely traumatic for Doflamingo. And then there's Katakuri, and we get just one panel of flashback, which is right before he uses Conqueror's Haki for the first time that we've seen in the story, where basically people are running away from him, saying that he's monstrous, and you know, he has this monstrous strength, and his mouth is like horrible, it's horrifying, it looks like a pelican eel, and I already talked about that in some of my previous videos. And then there's also Big Mom, who we got the flashback for. Even though it doesn't show when she's unlocking Conqueror's Haki, she obviously has quite a traumatic past, because first of all, her birth parents just abandoned her, and then she basically killed all the orphans and Mother Caramel, the people that she held closest to her during her childhood. So even though she may have forgotten this, which is where I'm going to go to later on in this video, these would clearly be traumatic events for her. So what I'm trying to say is that all these characters who have had traumatic backstories, that's a key common feature for them to be able to unlock Conqueror's Haki. So now I want to talk about Luffy, right? Luffy's kind of an outlier, because as far as we know, Luffy had a pretty happy childhood on the Bowa Kingdom. Even though his grandpa wasn't around that much, he had a good relationship with his grandpa and Dadan, and he got to hang out with Ace and Sabo. Sabo did die during Luffy's past, or at least he thought he died, but Luffy wasn't actually around to see that. So he just heard the story. This wouldn't be like, you know, some huge traumatic childhood event for Luffy, at least the way I'm seeing it. Basically what I'm asking is, why does Luffy have Conqueror's Haki? And you might say that it's an inherited power, like if one of your parents is really strong, then you'll get it. Like, that's actually the key criteria to get Conqueror's Haki. And while this may be the case for like Katakuri and Ace, who have extremely powerful parents that probably have Conqueror's Haki, it wouldn't make much sense for Doflamingo and Big Mom, right? Because Doflamingo, he's a celestial dragon, and for the most part, the celestial dragons are kind of portrayed in the light of being weak and stupid, and they're just kind of there, and they're born into power. So it wouldn't really make much sense for a celestial dragon lineage to possess the Conqueror's Haki power. And in terms of Big Mom, she was just an orphan. Her parents were nobodies. You know, she did have some kind of a defect where she kept growing bigger, but I don't think that anybody in her lineage was, you know, extremely important, a really good fighter who would have Conqueror's Haki. So I don't think that, you know, genetics is the criterion for inheriting Conqueror's Haki. The other thing I want to mention is that awakening Conqueror's Haki in the time that Luffy did during the story doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you think about the kind of events that he's been through, right? One arc before this is Shibondi, where Luffy's crew gets devastated. Kizaru is about to kill Zoro, the pacifistas are attacking, and actually Bartholomew Kuma seemingly kills his entire crew. He makes them disappear right in front of his eyes. So why wouldn't Luffy awaken Conqueror's Haki during this time, right? He knew Zoro and Nami and the rest of his crewmates for an extremely long time relative to Marjorie, who he just met. And you might say, well, you know, he was in a rush to save Ace, and that's how he was backed in the corner and unlocked his powers. And I would agree with you if that were true, but the fact of the matter is that when Luffy was up against the Snake Sisters, he actually wasn't aware that Ace was captured and then impelled down. All he knew about was that he needed to get back to his crew, so that was his only driving force for leaving the island. And I think that saving his crew would have precedence over trying to get back to them. So if he knew that Ace was captured, and that's the reason why he unlocked Conqueror's Haki, that would make total sense. But the fact of the matter is that he didn't know at the time, so it doesn't really make sense for Luffy to unlock Conqueror's Haki during this particular time. So we clearly don't know everything about Monkey D. Luffy, such as who his mother was. We have no idea about that information. In fact, we only know back to when Luffy was 7 years old, when his grandpa first brought him and introduced him to Ace, and then he met Sabo a little bit later. That's as early as we get to see in Luffy's past. And I will say that every single Straw Hat crew member is going to get a second flashback in the New World. So what I'm getting at here is that I believe that Luffy had some kind of hidden trauma in his childhood past before the age of 7, before he met Ace. And at this particular time, that was when he met the conditions to unlock Conqueror's Haki. And I think that Luffy has suppressed these memories, so he's currently unaware of them, and it's not really impacting his character too much. But the reason why I think that this is important to actually the current storyline as well as the future storyline is that we actually have a character, Pudding, whose ability deals with memories. So maybe she can dredge up some of these memories of Luffy and what happened in his past. And I do believe that it has to do with Luffy's parents, whoever his mom was in Dragon. And I think that it will play an important role in the future of the story, where we get to see Dragon probably coming up at Reverie. So I think that that would be an amazing transition for Whole Cake Island to end with Luffy getting back these memories and then suddenly going to Reverie, where we see Dragon and how they apply to Luffy's backstory, and we'll also have Luffy's backstory being fleshed out more. So anyway, once again, this is Crusopp here. I think I said everything I wanted to about the awakening of Conqueror's Haki. So yeah, please subscribe, like, and look forward to more content from me. Crusopp is peace in it.